Alright, what's up you guys? Welcome. It is officially the second week of YOJOEJUNE. I am your host, the one and only Shark Boy, aka Sharky, aka I don't know, whatever. How's everybody doing today? Welcome on this Thursday live stream for SHARKNEWZ Live, and we will have some interesting things to talk about tonight. And it is a lovely 89 degrees here in the East Coast. Pretty hot and boiling, but still good enough. I'm not necessarily a summer person, as I am a January baby, so I love my winter. But yeah, the summer has its the summer has its perks, so I'm really excited to enjoy the nice weather and be a little more outdoors and stuff. So it's going to be pretty fun, a pretty fun few months, I suppose. Let's go into the chat real quick. We have 49er Brian, we have Alan, who's going to be busy, but he will be here shortly or at some point. Markham is at Bible study, but hopefully he should try to jump in, so it's all good, man. I'm appreciative of you joining whenever you can. Russell Terrell, welcome to the chat. It's up Deej Sanchez, and he says Russell says it's gonna be a good show tonight. I'm hoping it is too. It's a little later than usual, but I don't like to prolong the streams. Chris Ewell, welcome to the chat. Derek Holloman, the legends, all some OG subscribers here. We have Timothy James with an awesome comment saying SHARKNEWZ is in the house. What's up, bro? You're the very best, for real. Thank you so much, Timothy, man. I appreciate that. I'm far from anything by the best by any means, but I appreciate any form of support any way possible. So thank you so much for that, Timothy. The legend, Mr. Madgus, what's up? Says let's get the party started. Hell yeah. Russell asks, what is the beverage for tonight? Tonight's beverage is a cherry Coke. I'm a very loving supporter of weird ass flavors for drinks, so tonight will be cherry Coke, and I kind of prefer it over cherry Pepsi for some reason. And even when it's like other flavored of sodas, I do love having like a tropical style taste in flavor rather than just the normal standard stuff. Even if it's ginger ale, I go for like the raspberry version of it. So I just love having these weird ass concoctions. And side note, if I'm ever at some kind of restaurant or fast food joint, I'm always mixing flavors together, and I see the employees stare at me all the time, especially when I'm at like Taco Bell or something, so it's pretty funny. I always tell them to mix all the flavors, and they look at me and they're like, for real? I'm like, just do it. Anyways, Russell says technically there is no second week. That's very true. We're skipping the second week and going right to week 3. Mr. Madgus says no show Joe June. That's pretty good. Title Manish here, what's up, bro? Thank you so much for joining with the shark emojis. Says what's good, Thursday night gang. Hell yeah. Come to Houston in August. Oh shit, no. I went to Dallas last year. Was it last year? Yeah, I think it was last year. I was in Dallas last year, and it was very spacious, man. I don't know how you guys do with all that space. It's just a lot of space. Because here in the East Coast, when you're closer to like the New Jersey, New York side, everything is very cluttered, and all the space. It's like even if you find like the smallest corner, the government will be like, let's build a complex right in there. So, but when I was in Dallas, man, there was just so much space. I didn't even know what to do with it. Toy Odyssey, what's up, man? How's it going? Says good evening, fellas, with the salute back at you, brother. Beginner Gunner says what's up. He's on vacation. He wanted to say Hasbro's well, first of all, shout out to Beginner Gunner, who is on vacation but is joining the stream, hopefully the best he can. Just wanted to say Hasbro disappointed yesterday. What's going on with the Legacy Police guy? I can't wait to watch the live stream later. Yeah, man. we will definitely talk about the Legacy series figure for sure. That's going to be the emphasis of tonight's stream. Vil the Great, the legend, welcome with the shark emojis with the yo. Ionic Blood, another legend here. We have, oh yeah, what's up, Shark Gang. Holonet, another legend. I'm surprised all the products are still available for pre-order. I grabbed an Striker. Yeah, man, you know, the thing is, I think we are hitting a very interesting point in G.I. Joe Classified where it's not so much the lack of, well, maybe it does have something to do with the figures not being available like at our doorsteps, in terms of, you know, when you pre-order something, you want to get it like within a few weeks. You know, people are waiting like up to half a year for their figures, and I'm sure that plays a big role. But my personal prediction for why products are still available is not just because people don't want to wait too long for figures, but it's also because you know, a lot of collectors have either left G.I. Joe Classified and sold their collection. A lot of them have stayed selective. Not just, you know, the figures are cool in their own way, but some people have their own you know, preference of what they want in their collection. And then there are also collectors out there who, you know, because of whatever's happening in the world right now, you know, sometimes people have other priorities and they can't really I don't want to, they don't, it's not like they don't have the money for it. It's like they rather put the money somewhere else rather than you know, on toys. Therefore, you know, things happen in life, and sometimes there's other priorities that happen. Anywho, so then let's see what else we have. We have Joshua, another awesome supporter of the channel. What's up, Joshua? Says, just got out of the shower. What I miss? Absolutely nothing. We just started. Joshua literally missed nothing as much as YOJOEJUNE week 2 was. So literally nothing. We just started. Russell Terrell says, one of my favorites from a number of years ago was cherry chocolate Dr. Pepper. Tasted like Tootsie Roll candy. Damn, I've actually, that sounds, I don't know if I could ever deal with that, but sounds cool. But cherry Dr. Pepper, delicious, man. Even the strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper, oh, beautiful. Mr. Madgus says Joshua has soap behind his ears. That's funny. Grape ginger ale is my shit, says Ionic Blood. Very nice. I actually never tried the grape one. That's very intimidating. Welcome, Wilfredo Diaz. Everyone here tonight, and the only one, Shark. Thank you so much, Wilfredo. Awesome supporter of the channel. Concrete Jungle is crazy humidity, like 112, says Russell. Yeah, man, I don't know if I can do it. Ionic Blood says the leaks are killing all the hype. Yeah, man. That's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily discuss leaks anymore on the channel. Whatever official reveals happen, and I try my best to talk about it through text, but I don't post photos anymore. Roland Mack, another legend. What's up, man? Good to see you with the shark emoji. Tagworm says he made it on time. Says, sup, Jokas. What up, Tagworm? Thank you so much for joining. Shout out to Robert Wantland. All good, brother. We just started. Mr. Madgus says, just like the Vamp. Russell says, Hasbro needs to take a page out of McFarlane's distribution. How many times do you place a pre-order and it's delivered in about 2 months? I think it's because, I mean, I don't know, I'm no business guy, but there was an interview where McFarlane Toys did say, because, or Todd McFarlane said, because he's a, was he like an independent or smaller scaled company, he doesn't have to answer to like investors and shareholders like Hasbro does. Therefore, he kind of has a say in what and how things go up and how they get sent out and etc. Like, he kind of calls more of the shots compared to Hasbro's you know, loops. Holonet says people have been dumping their classified collection. Yes, I have seen people, many people actually, leave classified because of not wanting to wait long for the figures, or they just simply don't have the space for it, or they decided to move on to other brands, or they simply just decide to stay selective. Therefore, you know, they're not buying like every single figure that's coming out. The Nerd Alert says, "What's up, everyone listening on the road and working? Shout out to the Nerd Alert. Thank you so much. Hopefully my monotone voice will be good for you while you're working and doesn't put you to sleep, but thank you so much for listening." Virgos, welcome to the chat, says, "I think the line is dying," says Virgos. Ooh. "I used to be excited for release, but now there are so many that are too expensive and it'll take longs to get them. I may skip this Haslab." That's a very, very valid reason, Virgos. Hey man, do what you have to do. You should never stress yourself out when collecting, that's for sure. Sprite tea. I heard the Sprite tea is disgusting. Vil the Great says, "Hasbro isn't listening to their consumers and making figures we actually want." I mean, that's another, well, it's like I always mention, if Hasbro were to make figures that everybody wants, they would be very happy with what they have, and then they wouldn't be buying figures like Frag Viper, you know? These other mediocre, or not mediocre, but these other B-side, C-side, or D-side characters that they release in between, it helps prolong the line, and plus with their innovative ideas of, for example, Frag Viper with that extra robotic style head, you know, it helps people kind of entice them to buy like random figures like that. Title Manishare says, "The main reason is probably the fact that we have 2 full waves on pre-orders and 2 waves of retros, too much outstanding charges." I do believe that Retro Flint and Retro CoverGirl have landed in the US, so people should be getting there soon at some point. So far, I haven't missed a Star Wars, Haslab, nor Classified, says HoloNet. Hopefully the Classified, whatever it's going to be, the Haslab is going to be great. Ionic Blood says, "Collecting is not for the weak of heart." Ooh. Benedict, well, what's up to the welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for joining. "Any updates on the Legacy Cop? We will talk about that shortly." Derek Holliman says, "I hate the fact that they waited so long to cancel the stream for no reason." Yeah, so let's dive right in because we got time now. Ooh, crispy. Oh yeah. Beautiful. All right. So what was I talking about? Yeah, so I was on the computer and I was waiting for the stream to start, and I had the YouTube stream on. It was 11 a.m. East Coast time, and I was like, well, usually they have like the red circle that says we're live. So I was like, okay, this is weird. They're not live yet. Maybe I'll give them like a minute or two. And then what ended up happening was it was around 11:07 a.m. about 7 minutes into the hour. I was like, what the hell is going on? Maybe my internet just sucked, or maybe like I'm seeing something that's not happening, or maybe I'm on the wrong page. I don't know. I go on Instagram, and of all places, that's where, at least that's where I saw it. Hasbro Pulse posted a thing that said, "We are canceling and postponing tonight's stream, or today's stream. Stay tuned for more updates." And that's basically it, cold blank. And then the Facebook page said that their live stream for today, or that day, was canceled as well. And then they reiterated the same post. Now, the thing that kind of aggravated me, because as someone who has a degree in marketing, the whole point of marketing is you have to talk to your consumers. That is probably one of the top 3 or even the top 2 things you have to interact with the people who support and pay, because half of the consumers are the reasons why they are getting paid, right? Therefore, to mislead collectors and telling them that they are going to postpone pre-orders, which is not a bad thing because people could use the break, but then they ended up still going out for pre-order. Now that's probably not Hasbro's fault per se, because perhaps Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth and Amazon had a contract saying that the figures have to probably go up regardless of whatever Hasbro's decision was. So the easiest thing Hasbro could have easily said was, our stream for today has unfortunately been postponed due to technical issues or whatever the hell the situation was. But instead, they could have just said, the pre-orders are still going to be going live at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that would have just made so much more sense. Collectors would not be furious or sad. They would have just been like, okay, no live stream, no big deal. Let's just wait and see what figures are going to go up for pre-order, and then we'll just enjoy it. But the fact that they did say that pre-orders are also postponed, that is misleading and very shameful on their end for not correcting that, because there are collectors out there who, again, who work at 11 a.m. and if they realize that the fan stream has been canceled, they're just going to log off and they're going to go back to doing their work. So, and then how would they know that figures go up for pre-order at 1 p.m. unless they actually check their phone? It would not make any sense for them to come back, because they'll be like, okay, the pre-orders have been postponed, I will come back to it later. But you know, it was just terrible marketing. And on top of that, they should have at least told us that figures like the GIJOE Striker and Crankcase were also going up for pre-order, because last week, this is not the exact wording, but last week they showed us the render for Crankcase and GIJOE Striker, and they say stay tuned for more updates. Stay tuned for more updates on when this figure will go up for pre-order. Now, I know a lot of people here work and they have money, etc., but there are people who have to fluctuate their funds and their financial situations. So for someone who knows a week in advance that the GIJOE Striker is going to be going up for pre-order, it'll be easier for them to set aside $100 and then, you know, purchase the figure that they really want, or the vehicle that they really want. But for them to out of nowhere being saying like, oh, GIJOE Striker is up for pre-order, that just makes people panic, because it's like, oh shit, I didn't know this figure was going out. Do I have enough money on my card to even afford it, for that matter, depending on whatever your payment situation is. And then on top of that, because people have FOMO, it's like that fear of the GIJOE Striker selling out on Hasbro Pulse because it was a Pulse exclusive, that you're just literally, you are destroying intel for your fan base, because people look up to consumer and marketing interactions within the company. And if you're not, you know, stating your, I don't know, if you're not communicating well, you're just making your I don't know, company look bad to an extent. Anyways, that was my little rant. There was a lot of shit that just happened, so give me a second. HoloNet says they have to drag out the sub teams while throwing a bunch of D-listers as fillers. I agree. Mr. Madga says, I believe they canceled the stream because it was pre-recorded and they had the cop in the pre-order. They obviously couldn't go with that. That could very well be the case. Joe Bits, welcome to the chat, says they canceled the stream because of the cop figure. Possibly, yeah. But Derek says that the cops are not, they are not give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see here. Derek says if they call it a live stream, do not record it, do it live, not recorded. That's true too. Joe Bit says the higher ups at Hasbro are super soft and sensitive. Very true. Better be safe and cautious than never. At least they should have said for pre-orders are going live. I agree, says Derek. Oh, shout out to Tagworm for the $5. Dude, thank you so much. I'm giving you the shark heart. Thank you so much, Tagworm, man. I really do appreciate that. That is a very kind and generous donation for you, man. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, man. So shout out to Tagworm for the $5. That's freaking awesome. You could, honestly, you don't have to donate anything. That's still a lot of money. But thank you so much, Tagworm, man. I appreciate that. Here, cheers to you as I will drink my cherry Coke to you. Russell Terrell says, I work for an advertising company as a graphic artist, so yes, marketing is a big deal to keep clients and maybe investors happy. Very true. Hasbro does a horrible job in communication to consumer, says Vil. I agree. Rocky Teller says this would be a good time for indie and third-party companies to release their line of cop figures, like Leonard, probably. Shit, I just lost myself in the stream. Mr. Madgus says, if you think about it, how many times have they interacted with the chat? Never. I mean, somebody there, somebody is in the chat. They just say random things in there. Thankfully, I was off that day and still checking for pre-orders, says Derek. Virgo says they could have just shown a picture of stuff going up for pre-order. No one really cares about what Emily Lemony has to say. Glazing the line, we want the figures, not their jokes. I mean, they do make it very entertaining, don't get me wrong. It's just people have their own, I don't know, preference, I guess. Tagworm says, try it. Tell me what you think. I'm not even a Sprite fan. Oh, man. All right. I will have to try because of Tagworm. Josh Wolfgram. So one of the streams, I'll try Sprite T for Tagworm and see what happens. Josh Wolfgram says, I think that's so stupid that they do those live streams during the day when normal people are usually at their jobs. Well, that makes sense, but if you think about it, Josh, they're also at work too, right? So if they were to do live streams after the everyone else gets off work, they'd still be at work. Therefore, they're technically at work doing their job while we're all at work too. So I don't know, they wouldn't do a stream like at like 7 or 8 p.m. Okay. I got the emails of Big Bad Toy Store pre-order orders. Anything from Hasbro from a Pulse member, says Vil. It's just wild that 2 G.I. Joe streams have been postponed in the last few months. I've never seen any other Hasbro brand do that. You know what's crazy? Tomorrow is actually a Star Wars live stream, I think. Is it tomorrow? I think tomorrow is a Star Wars live stream, and then there's also like a Transformers live stream. So YoJoJune should strictly be just a G.I. Joe stream, like a G.I. Joe dedicated month, and give all their collectors a break, because Marvel has like a freaking like 3 streams a month. They, you know, unless you prefer it, that's cool, but like, man, G.I. Joe's getting shitted on once in a while. What's up, Malcolm? Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I hope Bible study is going well for you. Please don't get in trouble on my behalf. Is the Sergeant Slaughter license free? Joe team seems passive aggressive. Okay, so now that we have a good amount of people here, let's go ahead and look at, welcome Jason Steele to the chat. Thank you so much for joining. As always, we're going to look at what's revealed, what's not revealed, leaks, pre-orders, prototypes, and all that stuff. So as you guys know, week 2 was quite a disappointing, as we were obviously just talking about it for a while. So as of right now, we have no digital renders. We had no name reveals for week 2, and we had no, I don't know, nothing really much to talk about, at least within week 2. So going back to week 1, we still have NIGHTFORCE, BEACHHEAD, and QUICKKICK, which was revealed back at Toy Fair. So we still have to see them. But because it's NIGHTFORCE, like I said before, I feel like they probably will unbox them, but they probably won't go up for pre-order because they'll probably be like a Walmart's Collector Con, which usually happens around Comic-Con, like July. So chances are we might see those 2 figures go up for pre-order in July. If I'm wrong, that'd be great, but probably not. Then we have the Desert Scorpion, which we talked about last week, and then we have the Steel Core Sentry figure with a defense post, which we also talked about last week. And until we see photos of it, we will keep our thoughts kind of to ourselves for the time being, just because we could sit here and talk about the defense post all we want, but until I see like actual product shots, then we'll get to it. As for leaks, we still have NIGHTFORCE Beachhead, the vest that kind of came out. I believe that was it. And then we still have the upcoming listings, which we have Taurus, Reddog, Wetsuit Flash, Night Viper, and Sci-Fi. According to Toy News Eye and JC, holy shit, I forgot. Somebody said something about, somebody said, sorry, hold on, I have to go back in the chat. I apologize that I skipped it. Give me 1 second. Oh, Joshua says Peg Warmers shared a rumor, not confirmed, that the cop is delayed because of the whatever is going on in California, LA. Not sure Hasbro cares that much. Okay, I thought that was something else. Anyways, so according to Toy News Eye, JC did say that we are somewhat expected to see figures like Wetsuit Flash, Night Viper, and Sci-Fi have digital renders or some type of reveal or something. So, and usually they're kind of on the ball with these kinds of things, so I'll take it lightly, but we'll see what happens. Because we have lost week 2 with no live stream, this kind of makes me wonder how week 3 is going to be, because not only do they have, well, they don't really have to make up for loss of time, because they were probably just going to unbox whatever figures like the Striker and Crankcase and whatever, but now it seems like week 3 is going to have to be like extreme rapid fire, because they have to literally catch up for week 2 by unboxing figures like whatever we need to talk about today, like the 2 retro figures, and then Crankcase with Striker, and then whatever the hell the other figures went up for pre-order, I forgot. Like Mercer and Sergeant Slaughter. So yeah, because last week it was just a digital render, but this week they should have at least unboxed it or something, so that would have been cool. So not only do they have to incorporate those figures, they're probably going to rush through it within the 30 minutes, maybe an hour. They're going to rush through it, as well as announcing probably hopefully a good buttload of renders, because they have to make up for whatever they're supposed to do for week 2. They should definitely make up for it in week 3 by giving us at least 6 renders. They need to make up for that shit. And then pre-orders are fine because they still went up, but the thing that makes it more tricky is that if you were to look, which we'll talk about at the end of the night before the stream ends, we'll look at all the figures we have left, and because I'm always keeping up to date with how many figures get eliminated off the list in terms of from pre-orders, we literally caught up. There's, other than the Cold Slither 4-pack and the Haslab Rattler figures, we have nothing. There's nothing left other than these name only and confirmed figures. So that's why I feel like they pretty much caught up very well in the classified line at this point. We have really nothing to go off of in terms of renders or upcoming figures, so it's going to be pretty cool to see some exciting new reveals, and hopefully a Haslab Rattler unboxing, and hopefully a Haslab 2026 reveal. I don't know if they'll do any unboxing, but most likely they'll probably just announce it or something and then save it for a panel at Comic-Con. Maybe have it on display, because last year they had the Rattler on display, so good chance that we'll see the next Haslab at Comic-Con instead of YOJOEJUNE. They'll probably just announce it, but probably not show us anything. Okay, so all of you are in the chat talking about something about steel core, but that's cool. All right, so let's move on from these leaks. Before we head to the first figure for tonight in the stream, I do want to do a quick shout out and dedication to one of my OG subscribers, Lara V, who was a very awesome and amazing supporter to, or still is, to the Artist Shark and both SHARKNEWZ channels, as she was actually one of the very first subscribers that I had on the channel who actually sent in GI Joe classified figures as a gift, which were Tomax, Zermatt, Dusty, and Tiger Force Bazooka. Her father sadly passed away recently, and she's been such an amazing supporter of the channel, and she's always been keeping up to date with my videos and always interacting with me on Instagram, and she is such an amazing supporter. I can't stretch that enough. Very awesome collector of classified figures, GI Joe, or even mostly retro figures. So it's very nice to see her you know, be a part of the Shark family, but hearing about her father passing just kind of hit home. So and I want to briefly talk about it just because the reason why I want to give my condolences and love to her father is because for someone like me that goes on YouTube and talks about just toys in general, and then you have somebody who doesn't even know who I am and decides to be like, I want to send Shark some figures because he helps me out with pre-orders. She didn't have to do that, but she did. And when someone does such a very nice, kind gesture like that, it's a very beautiful and wholesome reflection of their parents and how they raised their kids to be very selfless. And that's a very beautiful trait that someone does or can have. So big shout out to Lara, and hopefully you and your family can heal the best you can. I know it's not the best situation in the world, and as somebody said once before, when a relative, even as close as your parent passes away, it's like joining a club that you don't ever want to be a part of ever in your life. But the healing process becomes, you know, the part where that's where toy collecting should come at some point, you know, to kind of take away from the pain. But hopefully if Laura ever sees the stream at some point, this is dedicated to you. So love you, Laura. Hope you feel better. All right. So the first figure we're going to talk about today is the retro Bat figure. Now this figure, I am surprised to say that I actually like this figure, and I think this one might be my favorite amongst all the Bats, just because I love the vibrant blues and reds in the chest piece. It's very iconic to the original O-ring version. Obviously the first Bat will always be the best version in terms of modern updated version, but you know, this one's very classic, and on top of that it has the red faceplate, which is very pays homage to the actual animated series, which is awesome. One of the cool things I love about this figure is the effects that it comes with on the interchangeable parts or the hand pieces, because it has that flame effect, and then it has like that blue laser piece, which looks really awesome. So I did not expect it to have that, so that's really cool. And then the silver arm colors actually looks really good. It's not like that dull muted gray, at least I don't think so within this photo that we see here, compared to the original first Bat or the other Bats that came out. And then on top of that, the alternate head sculpt has more cracks and more, you know, battle damage, which is really awesome. And not only do we have a plastic cover to this Bat, we also have a damaged version too. So yeah, so I think they did a really great job giving this kind of new effects to the Bat figure. It kind of gives you a little more bang for your buck. So I like it. I think this one's fine. Nerd Alert says, I got back into collecting to heal. Damn, that's awesome, man. That's the best way to do it. Nerd Alert says, I love that flame effect. It's the best yet. It looks new. I think it is new. I could be wrong, but I think it's new, though. I agree, Tagworm. Joshua says, Retro Bat was the only one I didn't pre-order, but I think I may just see it if I can. Yeah, I mean, the bats are one of the cooler army builders, but I think if you're someone that collects the bats, the retros and the original first releases will always be the two best ones to army build, because I personally don't need like much of the Arctic ones or the Crimson one or whatever the hell the other ones are. So I think the black ones will definitely be really awesome, especially because you have different. I mean, it's good to have alternate head sculpts, which definitely helps with the army building. So even if you were to collect the other bats, at least you can hopefully swap out the heads and give the visor or the plates, face plates, like different color schemes. So I think that's what makes it really cool. So the fact that all the bats are roughly like 99.9% the same, it's just some of them are a little bit different in the accessories, but I wasn't expecting myself to like this bat as much as I thought I would, but I think this one holds up there. It's really cool. Russell Terrell says, the bat came out at a time when I was getting away from Joes. I was more interested in girls then. Well, if listen, man, if the girls provided more happiness, then more power to you, man. That's what's up. Nerd Alert says, I got 2 bats. Good stuff. The blue flame looks new. Did I already read that? I don't remember. Josh Wolfgram says, I really like the retro bat a lot. Me too. I have a pair of regular bats. Might grab 2 of these or more. I think 4 is good. Yeah. I think when it comes to army building, at least 4 to 6 is good. Tagworm says, I don't like it, but I do love that flamethrower. I hate that yellow. Getting 2 of them though. That, yeah, I mean, I can see the yellow looks very neonish. The original first bat was more like orangey, I suppose. So I guess you can always like mix and match. Virgo says, I actually liked the Python Patrol bat for the color specs, the Crimson, Arctic, and the Iron. Oh yeah, the Iron Grenadier bat. Yeah, you can. I forgot about the Iron Grenadier bat. That one's a pretty cool one, just because of its gold arms. But yeah, he's gonna pop up on the shelf soon. That's very true. Also, there's a few photos roaming around the web of people finding the latest wave of, what's his name, Blowtorch and Frag Viper and Dark Lawn and what's his name, Footloose? Was it Footloose? Yeah, whatever the other guy's name was. So people have been finding those figures at their Walmarts. I think, was it Walmart or Target? I don't remember. But you might want to, if you guys are interested, you can go check it out. They're popping up here and there. I know somebody's Robert sent me a photo. Oh no, was his name? Shit, who was his name? Give me a second. Yeah, I was shown a photo of the blowtorch figure being found at Target. Let's not forget to like the video. Oh, speaking of, somebody, I think Russell asked me before, what is the stream's goal for tonight? Let's see. My computer says we're at 37 likes, so let's try to get to 50 likes for tonight. If we can get 50 likes on tonight's video, that'd be great. So we're at 37. Let's try to get to 50 tonight. Russell says 5 Walmarts in my area literally has nothing NoJoes related. Yeah, man, I'm totally with you. I have not toy hunted in about probably 5 or 6 months at this point. Yeah, it's very sad, but all 3 of my Walmarts suck. I'm not finding anything there, and my Target is ass because there's a lot of people in that area. So there's another one that's being built that's like 10 minutes away from me, so but it's still in construction, so it hasn't opened yet. So hopefully I should do like a little short video of me toy hunting at that new Target whenever the hell it opens up. Oh, Sunder Ganesan, welcome so much. Welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for joining, brother. With the shark emoji, says, "What did I miss?" You didn't miss anything so far. We just started off with the bat figure. Mr. Madga says, "Too low, shark. We can do better than that." No, man. I think 50 is a very reasonable number. It keeps me humble. Okay, so yeah, so that is the retro bat figure. Not too much to say about it other than literally 99.9% the same as the original other versions that we've seen many times before. I forgot who said it in the chat earlier. I apologize, but someone said we need like a desert bat or a jungle bat. I assume we'll probably get like 2 more bats somewhere down the line, like a green one and a beige khaki'd one. So we'll definitely see that somewhere down in the future. So hopefully that'd be pretty cool. Okay. Up next, let's talk about the retro green shirt army builder trooper. I'll let you guys take the floor. So how many did you guys get? Because I feel like this is more of an essential army builder. It's a green shirt trooper that practically a lot of people wanted for years. So we finally have it. So let me know what success rate did you guys have with this one? We're at 47. Shit, I'm not checking at the moment, but I will in a second. Robert says I have to go to a Walmart 30 minutes to get at Target. Damn. Russell says got him. Nerd Alert says I used to what? Kenner Star Wars. I'm probably reading that wrong. Steve Golama, hopefully I read that right. Welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. He says if any bat they reissued, it should have been the Arctic. I mean, the Arctic bat has been disappeared for a very long time. I don't know when they're going to do a reissue. The Arctic bat seems like the same case as Snow Serpent and Snow Job. No sign of reissues at any given time, except we might get probably some other random ass retro or an updated version, or even like the I mean, you can't really retro the Arctic bat because it's brand new, but kind of like how the eels were kind of like a one-off figure. Derek Holman says 1 for now, more later. Timothy says I got 2 so far. That's good. Tagworm got 5. Rocky Teller says I'll wait for a sale on these green shirts. I mean, that's kind of tricky. The army builders are very harder ones to find in store, and also very hard to find on sale as well. Because again, when anything involving army builder, it's very hard to find them. Maybe if they are on sale, you'll be lucky to find at least get 1, 2 at max, but to army build them might be a bit harder. But hopefully you should be able to get it at some point. Robert says, don't army build Joe's, name only for me. Ooh, ballsy on your part. But that's cool. Virgo says, I thought I wanted these, but I really don't anymore. I like the GI Joe are all specialized singular people, not faceless fodders. Well, the essence of the green shirt troopers is, if you've watched the animated series, which I'm sure a lot of you here have, I totally 100% agree with you in the sense that the GI Joes are specialized singular people in terms of they all have their own specialty and what they're good at. However, in the actual cartoon, the point of the green shirt army builders are to kind of distract the Cobra troopers when they're invading or attacking, because a lot of times the Joes can't necessarily waste their time being out on the field shooting Cobra troopers and Vipers when their job is to go inside the actual base or do the actual fulfilling of the mission. The green shirt guys are literally just there in the background shooting those lasers at the Cobra troopers, kind of just giving them, you know, like a little war scenario, while the Joes can be like, all right, these guys are taking care of the Cobra troopers, now we can go inside the Cobra base and do whatever it is the hell we need to do that we're specially assigned for. If the Joes were to actually aid the green shirt dudes, they would just be wasting their time and not really get the mission done as fast as they should be. So I think the green shirts are essential, but I totally understand why you would want just the specialized ones. Ionic Blood says, I feel bad for the guys who bought 25 grunts to army build green shirts. I mean, 25 is definitely a lot. However, you could easily use a few grunts to remove the vest and kind of give it like higher rankings of green shirt dudes, which kind of would make sense, but it's cool though. But 25 does seem like a lot. Shit, I lost my place in the chat. Where am I? Russell says, let's shoot for 65. How many did we get so far? Oh, we're at 53. Mine says 53. Okay. I think 50 is fine. I think we're good with 50. I might get one of these to see how it builds with other figures. I'm not feeling the necks. Says Nerd Alert. I mean, yeah, I can see where you're going with that. Rocky Teller says now we're at 50. I used to cop. Oh, says Nerd Alert. Gotcha. Mr. Madgus says, didn't pre-order him, gonna wait him out, but I'll use all spare heads from figures that came with 2. I'm an army builder, so at least 8 will wind up in my collection. That's great. Shout out to Mr. Madgus staying faithful to his army building. Reg325, welcome to the chat. I believe this is your first time in this stream, but ordered 2 bats and 2 green shirts. Awesome, man. Good stuff. That's a solid number. Title Manager says, I got 6. Very solid number. Love it. Joshua says, I get that argument, but the green shirts can be your own named characters. Just headcanon to them, plus green shirts appear in Sunbow. That's true. Ian Wilson, welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. It says, ordered 5 greenies so far. Good stuff, man. I mean, it looks nice. 5 is a decent number. Anywhere from 4 to 6, I think, is a great number. Wilfredo says, I bought 2. 2's good. Chris Yule says 3 greens for me. Steve says green would make perfect fodder for finishing off the OG-13. Oh, I mean, unless you're into kit bashing and customizing, then yeah. Nerd Alert says, imagine 2 of these guys with a general from Fresh Monkey. Which general is that? Because there's quite a few, I think. Mix Biggs fan, welcome to the chat. Shit, I lost my spot again. Army Building says, makes our wallets empty. That's true, because army building is very essential in G.I. Joe. I mean, as a kid growing up, I always bought 1 of each character, whether it was an army builder. But as I got older, I was like, oh man, I didn't realize like half of the Cobras are army builders. There's really not that many standalone Cobra dudes, whereas the cooler Cobras are really army dudes. So that's cool. 51 likes, says Malcolm. Oh shit. Let me make sure once again. Oh, mine says 56. Damn. Shout out to everybody for liking tonight's stream. I appreciate it. We're most in the episodes. Taito says, I'm hoping the heads from the police officer and firefighters are compatible with it. That would be really good. Robert says, I get it, but I'm passing on the MMS Hawk, though he is OG-13. I already have General Hawk. I mean, I love the first Hawk that came out from in Classified, but for those that want the OG 13 one, the MMS is really a nice addition. However, it's one of those things where you can also wait for someone to sell it without the MMS. I don't know how price would be, but that could be a best option if you want to save some money on that way. Green shirts. Bat and Joe fan, welcome to the chat. Says, I bought 2. I have bought a few grunts in the past. I also bought a few Professor X Savage Land figures in the green, and used them for various customs. Nice. I totally forgot you can use the Professor X in the green outfit. It works well. Josh, where am I? Josh says, I didn't think I was gonna like this one, but I ended up really stoked about it. I ended up getting 3, and I'm gonna try and pick up a few more later. I think Hasbro needed to do some type of, I mean, do keep in mind Hasbro will most likely re-release this figure again with some type of extra, not gimmick, but some extra something. Who knows? Maybe like another guy with a green beard. Sorry, not the green. Like another guy with a beard, or something like that. Who knows? I don't think we'll see the end of this green shirt guy, because whatever helps them make more money, I suppose. Robert says only 1. Ionic Blood says, do you guys think the reason they might not do the bridge layer or Mobat was because of ramen toys? I don't think so, because Hasbro sent ramen toys a good few C&Ds before, so I don't think they think ramen toys is a threat to them, because Hasbro is a freaking bigger company, so I don't think they would be threatened by ramen per se. And if they were, they would just come out with one and probably, you know, one up ramen toys somehow. Don Carlos, welcome to the chat. Says, a little late, but thanks for all the links, brother. Got all my pre-orders in. Congratulations, man. I'm very happy to help you out there. Very cool though. Thank you for using the links. Makes me happy. Timothy says 4 to 6. I agree. Nerd Alert says, shit, where'd I go? I want to army build snow jobs. I have 2 already. 4 would look great. Oh yeah, the Snake Eyes polar bear with a snow job would be sick. Is Hawk's heads detachable? I think they all are detachable, right? Roma, welcome to the chat. Says, what up, Shark? I hope I did not miss much. Nope, we're on the second figure right now. We just went over the retro bat figure. Pixel Forge, welcome to the chat. Says, you should have a classified counter for every time they repaint that cartoon rifle. Some of them are truly ugly. Honestly, like, that would be for someone that's like super duper hardcore into classified stuff, at least weapons wise. Personally, as a kid when I was growing up, I never really cared about what weapons associated to what figure. I always mixed and matched my weapons with random figures, just whatever looked cool. But if someone's out there that wants to do a weapon counter for reuse, that would actually be pretty funny though. Where are we now? Cobras for Life, welcome to the chat. Says, I love the green shirts. They would look great with the OGs. I love your channel, bro. Thank you so much, Cobra for Life. I appreciate it. I like your profile photo of Zartan. Really, really cool. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, brother. And congrats on any figures that you bought. 49er says, I got Darklon and Footloose today. Congratulations, bro. Good stuff. Let me know how they are. I mentioned earlier that people are finding Darklon, Footloose, Blowtorch, and Frag Viper at Walmart or Target. It's one or the other, I forgot. So you might want to check it out. if you guys feel like toy hunting. Joshua says, if anything, I think Hasbro rushed the GIJOE Striker because of third parties. Ooh, bold statement. It could be true though. Shout out to Couchboy, who says he just woke up. But also a huge shout out to Couchboy for being an awesome supporter to my channel as well. Great guy for sure. Hasbro needs to stop using rubber, says Nerd Alert. Roland Max says, I like most of all the retro figures except for a few, some more than classified. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, you're right. Some retros have been doing well, but the part, I think I mentioned this before on the previous channel, the fact that they don't differentiate retro from classified enough is where I have a hard time deciding which one I want, because back when classified started, you know, there was a night and day difference between a regular like release and classified versus a retro figure. But you know, because the retro paid homage to the O-ring figure or even a cartoon perhaps, and then the initial classified releases were like super armored and updated, so it kind of helped balance out the collection. But now you have figures, for example, like Alpine. What the hell are they going to do with that guy? How are, like, not every figure is going to get retroed, but it would have been easier for them to have two versions of the same character, but one's like more modern, updated compared to a retro Alpine that looks like the original O-ring version. And same goes with figures like Bazooka. He's literally as to the T to the original O-ring version, so we probably won't see that figure be re-released. You know what I mean? So it kind of makes it a bit difficult to figure out which one's probably better. 49er says, I'll be at Dallas Fort Worth in 2 weeks. Let me know what the new Valaverse exclusive is. I believe that they're going to release theirs this week. Cobra for Life, we will definitely talk about that. Hang in there. Couchboy says he wants to see the previous live stream they had with the cop. Oh yeah. I can't wait. When I was a kid, him and Flint were always a team. I just saw Flash grab. Oh, Russell says, I just want Flash. I thought you said you just saw it. I got a heart attack for a second. Russell says, Flash, Grand Slam, Zap, and Short Fuse, and my collection is complete. Well, when your collection is complete, I hope you still stay with the channel. Pixel Forge says, Amazon has sale counters above products. You can tell how many of these things they are selling each month. Okay, I'll check that out. I made my own remaining OG13 because I don't see Hasbro rushing to do them. I mean, I think, who is it? Somebody told me there's only like, or if I remember correctly, there's like five more figures left, 5, 6 more, 4 more from the original 13. Therefore, they're gonna stretch those out like in the next 4 years. Yeah, Couchboy, we'll get to that once we get towards the end of the stream. Hang in there. Ionic Blood says, change Alpine's hat and head sculpt for starters. That's true. I'm not a fan of Alpine's head one bit. I think Alpine should have been such a great, like a 10 out of 10 knockout figure because the O-ring version was so fantastic, but the classified one was a letdown to me. Russell does make a good point. It was too modern and not retro enough, but they found a balance. Yeah, I mean, so I guess it's kind of like a course correction, which makes sense. Mr. Madga says, I want a Rattler unboxing. Russell says, I won't leave you. Thank you, man. All love. Toy Odyssey says, I got 5 retro bats. Okay. But, alright, so we'll move on from the retro dude, because I do want to emphasize that the G.I. Joe team did announce earlier that the retro bat and the retro green shirt will be the final 2 retro figures for 2025. Now, whether or not they hold their word to it we'll have to find out and wait and see. But for now, we can say farewell to the retro figures until 2026. So that was, I mean, they didn't really release too much, but enough for us to enjoy. Usually they do 9 figures a year, but this time they only did 8, which I thought was pretty surprising because, I don't know, you get used to them revealing the same amount every time. Therefore, 2026 we should see the rise again of retro figures, but for now, according to the G.I. Joe team, the Retro Bat and Retro Green Shirt are the last 2 figures of 2025 for retro. So I guess we can for now sadly say farewell for the retro conversations, because we'll see what happens later in the future. But for now, yeah, bon voyage to the retro figures. We can now officially cross these off our list. All right, moving on. We have Sergeant Slaughter and Mercer 2-pack. All right, I'll let the chat take it over from here. You guys tell me what your thoughts are on these two. I'm gonna I want to see if somebody can point out to me in the chat, somebody that actually knows or who has seen a lot of my live streams in the past few years, what's one thing on Mercer that you know I'm going to nitpick really hard about? And I want to see who's the first person that can guess that right. Damn, this cherry coke is so good. All right, shout out to Pixel Forge who says the knee pads. Mercer has those, what I like to call the ruffle chips knee pads that I'm not, I hate, like, okay, everybody knows at this point that I hate when classified figures have knee pads, but I think those are the same knee pads that Scrap Iron wears. I think it's the same one as Dial Tone. I'm not sure. But especially when it comes to those that looks like those ruffled chips knee pads, I can't. Like, I get so, like, man. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. But let's take a look at the chat. But thank you so much. Who is it? Pixel, and even Title Manishir got it afterwards. You were so close, man. Tagworm, so close. Robert, so close. Mr. Madgus, you should know already. Let's see here. Who said? 49er says he passed. Robert Wantland said he passed. Chris Yule says no one asked for another Sergeant Slaughter. I wanted a 3-pack. 100%. I agree with you on that one. Yeah, so my issue with this 2-pack, it's not so much the fact that they gave us a Sergeant Slaughter. It's really the fact that they didn't give us a Sergeant Slaughter that would have made this 2-pack more valuable, in my opinion. Now, I totally understand that they wanted to release Sergeant Slaughter as a standalone exclusive figure with the black tank, black tee, which, again, it's a very valid reason. It's totally fine. However, if that black tee version of Sergeant Slaughter was actually part with this Mercer right here, I would have easily said, okay, that's a perfect 2-pack, because now if they do another 2-pack with Reddog and Taurus, then you could literally eliminate all the renegades in one shot. However, giving us this type of slaughter, it's not a bad figure, obviously. Like, I have no issues with it in terms of its aesthetic or wise, but it's kind of like, it's one of those figures where a lot of people don't necessarily need this slaughter in order to get that Mercer figure. I feel like Mercer would have done, maybe he wouldn't have been as profitable as a standalone, but as Chris Yule said, having a Mercer, Reddog, and Taurus 3-pack would have been the most ideal way to release these figures, because again, they were introduced in the G.I. Joe movie together as a team in a three, you know, like all 3 characters were showcased like that. Therefore, having Reddog, Mercer, and Taurus would have been such an ideal way to do it. However, giving us this slaughter was, personally, it's just an opinion, it's not the best way to do it, but I do like, however, the accessories that Slaughter does come with, so there's no issue or nitpicking with that. And initially, I would have assumed it would have been closer towards more better camo designs, but it just doesn't really do well. And I feel like they kind of changed his boots, or the lower half of the figure, because it looks like he's using Airborne's bottom half. I could be wrong, because his upper torso and his arms, they all look so beefy and intense compared to his legs, which look more shorter. So it looks like the legs that Airborne has, or like the 50th, or sorry, the one of those with the Halo jumper, one of those legs. I think, I could be wrong, but it looks like it. However, the extra beret, the other hat, and then the traditional sergeant hat and whatever, etc., that's all fine. But I think they just knew that if they were to release this Sergeant Slaughter alone, it would not do any good for them. Maybe some would buy it, but it wouldn't be like a hit. But in order to get that Mercer, they had to throw in a figure for them to be like, hey, take this, you know. So very clever. I'll clap for that. But like I said before, a 3-pack would have been extremely essential. All right, let's catch up with the chat. Pixel Forge says they should have put an alternate head on Slaughter for those that don't want another Slaughter. Are those? I don't remember the other head sculpts that he comes with. Nerd Alert says Mercer would have been cooler with the head portrait of the glasses molded and glasses having an Oakley vibe. Yeah, I mean, the facial expressions aren't as different as they should be. Title Manishare says, I didn't want a teenage Mercer. Yeah, I mean, the digital render didn't necessarily sell me on the Mercer figure. And the facial expressions or the different head sculpts aren't drastic enough, because one just shows his teeth and the other one is just him staring. They could have easily done better. I mean, some photography, it looks better than the render, of course, which is, you know, thankfully. But I still feel like Mercer is like, it's not a bad figure and it's not like a miss, but it's also not, they didn't necessarily nail the figure and its potential that it could have been. And I totally understand he's an ex-Viper, so hopefully he's size accurate. But I mean, I know, I think Ionic Blood sent me the photo on Twitter about Mercer being the same height as Falcon and all the other Joes, but I don't know, something just feels off about this, and I really can't figure out what it is other than the head and those ruffle chips knee pads. Russell says, I like the Slaughter, I don't know anything about Mercer. there's really nothing too much to know about Mercer other than just watch the 87 movie and just see how badass he is in it. Hopefully that should be incentive enough. The whistle says nerd alert. You could kit bash version 3 gung ho with that slaughter. Very true. Cowboy pistol. Pixel says going to put that ball cap on Sarge's head backwards. That would be pretty cool. Sarge does look dope with the beret. Yep. Yeah, that's one of the highlights for sure. 49er says, I think it was a money grab from Hasbro, kind of sleazy. I mean, Hasbro does what Hasbro does. Benedict says, great idea. Need a black bazooka and a staff and American flag, says Joe Bits. Shout out to Joe Bits. I know you tagged me on something on Instagram. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to see it yet. But see, Joe Bits is helping out Russell Terrell with ideas. This is why we all come together. We all are going to help out with ideas. Matt O'Toole, welcome to the chat, says welcome, or what's up, Shark? How's it going, Matt? Good to see you, brother. Mercer is the new Falcon. Well, I wouldn't go that far. Mercer is definitely by far a lot better than Falcon, that's for sure. I just think they could improve it a little bit more, and I'm just not sure. Most important Mercer fact, even his spit scares scorpions. Yeah, in the movie, he literally hawked a giant ass loogie on a scorpion and made that shit run away, which I thought was really cool. Mr. Madgus with the movie facts. Real men can come in, cowards can stay out. That's an homage to the movie scene where they go infiltrate the Cobra Terrordrome. Awesome. Couch Boy says, with Slaughter alive, we need a drama TV show with each episode a special mission, 7-people teams, new team weekly with season-driven overhaul plot. We need TV and Joe cartoons. I don't know if Slaughter now is old enough, or sorry, not old enough, is young enough to do TV shows because of his age, but I think we could really look forward to a brand new G.I. Joe cartoon though. But honestly, I think it's better that they don't do it, because we've seen how a lot of these networks or creators, they don't necessarily look at the source material, and plus the animation style is complete garbage. I would hate for them to create a G.I. Joe cartoon and have the animation style be like complete ass. I would be very turned off by that. Benedict says, Classified Falcon was rushed. They cut corners with the reuse of Recondo body, and that face sculpt is something out of a horror movie. Very true. Slaughter's voice is so unique. I agree. Slaughter as a Joe Colton figure. Yeah, that could work. Sarge would be on NXT once in a while to give a pep talk to the locker room. I mean, yeah. I think one of the funnier ones I remember, somebody said, no, this was like back in the day where Christian from WWE and Test and Lance Storm or somebody, all three of them saw Sergeant Slaughter talking in the background, and then one of them was like, oh look, Sergeant Slaughter, a G.I. Joe. That made me laugh. But that was like back in like early 2000s. Shout out to Brick Hardcastle, just joining. Good evening, Shark. Good evening, Brick. How's it going? We need a new cartoon made by people like us, not corporate slobs. 100%. It's just the G.I. Joe was a Resolute. Despite how intense and dark it was, that was such a fantastic way to give us a brand new G.I. Joe cartoon. Regardless if it was completely, more intense, more like for the adults rather than kids. But I feel like because of the way this generation is and how they're soft, all these kids don't want, because G.I. Joe is such a, how do I explain it in the most easier way possible. I don't know how marketing military figures to kids would be beneficial, because we all grew up with G.I. Joe when, you know, we would all freaking go rollerblading and skateboarding and get bruised and jump off rooftops and get hurt and like all that shit. Whereas kids nowadays are so damn soft that they wouldn't even be able to handle G.I. Joe in general. So I think they would easily ruin G.I. Joe if they made a new cartoon, even though I would love to have one, but it would be very insulting if they watered down like everybody for the sake of like the new generation kids that are watching. But yeah, otherwise that was, we'll move on to the next one. That was Mercer and Sergeant Slaughter. Pretty cool, but it was a very mixed and underwhelming. And well, one of the things I do want to emphasize real quickly, I don't know how you guys would feel about this, but the fact that they revealed this 2-pack last week as digital renders and then already went up for pre-order the next week, sure, it's cool and all, but I think it would have been a very nice surprise if we just were revealed these images before the actual renders, and instead give us the renders of figures that they know aren't going to come out until like later this year or next year, you know, something like that. It kind of defeats the purpose of giving us, you know, hyping us up for renders, you know, for 1 week of YOJOEJUNE, and then next week it's already up for pre-order, when they could have just saved all the excitement and be like, this week on YOJOEJUNE, we're going to announce a brand new Sergeant Slaughter and Mercer 2-pack, which is going up for pre-order today. That probably would have been more better. But even then, last week they didn't even tell us that this would be going up for pre-order. They just said, here it is, check it out, isn't that cool? So I think that's, again, sloppy marketing. I honestly don't know what man, I would change a lot of things of how they do it, but I don't want to give them all my ideas. They're not paying me. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. Let's see here. Resolute was fire, no question, says Vil the Great. I agree. Brick Hardcastle says, I agree, my dude, I get your point. Too coddled for military. Yep. Kids are soft, says Nerd Alert. Yep. Loved Resolute, but Scarlet would always be with Snake Eyes in my book, not Duke. Yeah, I could see that. Resolute was a game changer. CGI Sarge. I don't know how I would feel about a CGI Sarge, though. Okay, up next, let's talk about... Oh, wrong one. Let's talk about the Crankcase and Awe Striker. Okay. How do you guys feel about the Crankcase and Awe Striker? This was another figure that went up for pre-order. Last week they showed us digital renders of it that we've already seen for the past few months, but a little heads up would have been great. However, I'm very happy for those that got the Awe Striker. Lego Striker. 49er says the awful Striker. Antonio, welcome to the chat, says, what did I miss? You missed the two retro figures. You missed the Sergeant Slaughter and Mercer 2-pack conversation. Speed Buggy says Chris Yule. Vil the Great says he got the Awe Striker. Steve says the Lego Striker. Love the coffee. Thermos, yeah. Lifelong fan. Bait and Switch says Couch Boy. That's funny. Maybe they postpone Legacy so they can announce Legacy. Oh, I gotta be careful with the lingo here on the channel. but I see what you're saying, Joshua. Chris Vo says, there was only one shot that I saw of the back of being off. I want to see a clear image of without the third seat and extra cage. I'm sure somebody's going to have this damn figure by next week, so I'm sure we'll see a review very soon. 49er says he went with the gridiron one. The gridiron one was actually really nice. It looks really great. I like the figure a lot more than the vehicle, says Wilfredo. Antonio says, I'll hit the replay after the stream. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm still glad you're here, Antonio. I missed you too many times on the stream. Reg says, I pre-ordered the Yaw Striker, but really not impressed with the design. What would you improve on it, Reg? 325. How would you improve the Yaw Striker? Brick Hardcastle says, they are P-word for pulling the cop. My dad was a K9 officer. Awesome. I back the blue and need that figure in Law and Order to customize. My dad already got a 3.75 inch one. Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, in your case, I can totally understand how much this could be a bummer, especially if you're trying to pay respects to your father too. So I just don't like the wheels. Looks like a lawnmower. There's one funny comedy movie that has like Cal Penn in it, where his dad, who's like this Indian doctor or something, and he looks at Cal Penn's vehicle. It's like an indie film, and he was just like, he's like, your car is hanging so low it could be like a weed whacker. I don't know why it just reminded me of that. He's like, your car hangs so low that you can cut weeds with it. That shit was still funny. The roll cage is removable. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't include any other photos, but I like to have just like one photo and kind of make the most of it. Looks a little too much like a Lego vehicle. I ordered one but missed out. No Hasbro. Says Lunchbox Killer 8805. Welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. Welcome. Maximum Warp says completely with you. Brick Hardcastle. Mockcom says I got one but don't know. Man, looks terrible. Ooh. So Mockcom says he got one but it looks terrible. This looks intense. The chat is heating up. Drink holder seems like a direct knock at Vala. What do you mean, Matt O'Toole? What's the knock at Vala for that one? Please enlighten me. Christopher Vo says, of course, aren't there 2 third-party versions of this already or coming soon? To be quite honest, I'm very uneducated when it comes to gridiron stuff. I do see a lot of their posts, but I have to I'm not too up to date with their stuff because I feel like they do a lot of amazing stuff with gridiron. It's just it's very like extreme and hardcore for me to, you know, comprehend for my whack ass brain. So I hope somebody can actually respond to you better that way in the comments. I think this was going to be a release next. Oh, Scott Mora, welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. Says, I think this was going to be released next week, but had to pivot because of the delayed figure. It could be possible because, again, last week they didn't mention anything about this going up for pre-order today. And a little, you know, again, even if they had a Facebook post or Instagram saying we were canceling today's live stream, but at least these figures will be going up for pre-order at 1 p.m. Easy call. That would have just made so much more sense, but they didn't even communicate with their fan base. Joe Bits says, hold up, might be a bad angle. How does a figure sit on top of the seat, legs in a hole? I think one of the images showcases a figure standing on the back when you remove one of the cages, the cage in the back. But in terms of sitting down though, that I don't know. They'll probably have to sit down and steer the way John Candy drives the car in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles while he's taking off the jacket, where both legs are steering the wheel with his knees and he's trying to take off his jacket. You'll probably have to sit your figures in like that at least. A Romo says, disappointed with Hasbro pre-ordering on the stupid app. So I've heard people tell me that if you pre-ordered from PayPal, it actually works, and then you switch it back to a card or something, that actually made it work for them. Gridiron is pricey. I mean, yeah, Gridiron does have pretty high prices, but shout out to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, who gave me a subscriber gift of one of the loadouts for Gridiron, and the quality is actually surprisingly really good though. Bridge Layer is on the Awe Striker box. Yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't take that too seriously, but it could work. Timothy says, what's your thoughts on the price? You know, I don't know how to explain this, man. It's very, very, very funny to me. When I was recording the video, I was telling myself, I don't know if I should include the line, I don't agree that this figure should be $100. And then for some reason my brain just ticked and it said, no, just include it in there. I'm pretty sure someone will understand why you don't like it for $100. It's fine. The moment I put that one little like line in the video, I had people comment on the SharkNewZ video saying, you don't think this thing is worth $100? And I just find it absolutely funny because these are all just opinions. I'm not shedding any facts by any means, but it just mind boggles me how it can trigger so many people because, you know, some were saying, you know, at least politely, you know, some were a little more rude than others, but some were just saying, you know, you can fit 3 figures on here and it's bigger than the actual VAMP, or you're getting more on this figure compared to the actual VAMP, which again, I always come prepared because I thank you, Timothy, for this next topic. I'm not going to dive too deep into it because I know people are probably going to roast me, or they'll probably destroy me in the comments for not knowing what the hell I'm talking about. But when I look at both of these, it kind of tells me, and this is just opinion, so for those that are watching, please try to understand what I'm trying to say. I totally understand that these are both vehicles that come with figures, so it's good. I mean, I think it's awesome. I love the additional accessories. I love the updated looks on these vehicles, etc., etc. The thing that maybe my point wasn't shared across very well is that, okay, I can understand the VAMP being $100, or I can possibly understand Crankcase with Awe Striker being $100. But when you put them both together side by side, that kind of tells me that both of these vehicles should not both be $100. Regardless if one is bigger than the other, that's basically telling Hasbro, hey, it doesn't matter what vehicle you're giving us, we will gladly give you $100 for it. And Hasbro kind of knows that. They know they're kind of milking everyone by their whatever you want to call it, and they're saying, oh, they support us regardless, they will give us the $100. Whereas if one of these vehicles was like maybe $10 or $15 less, $10 or $15 less, then I could have said, okay, you know, these two vehicles are differently priced, but they're far off by like $10 or maybe $15 at most. That would be logical. But if you're pricing both vehicles at $100, that's giving Hasbro enough greed to say, hey, we'll release another vehicle, maybe smaller or bigger, or I mean, if it's bigger, cool, but maybe same size roughly, and we'll still put a $100 tag on it, and they know that the collectors will still buy it. So I think that was my issue with the $100 price point. It's not the fact that the vehicles come with the figure, or the figure comes with the vehicle, because not to say that this will happen, but Hasbro will probably say, hey, let's release the RAM cycle for I don't know, $80 now, and then let's release the Silver Mirage for $80 too. I mean, that's probably a pretty terrible example. But you know, but if that makes any sense, it just basically my point is both of these vehicles should not be priced the same. And I think that's just them being completely greedy on their end. And even then, you can fit more figures on the AW Striker, but what people don't, or probably didn't understand my point, was that in order to fit the other figures in the vehicles, you have to pay for those other figures. You're not buying the figures. The figures don't come with the actual AW Striker other than crankcase, so you're also spending more money. And then the Stinger also, or it's not, well, the Stinger too, but the VAMP can also have a character stand in the back as well. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Shout out to XXX. XXX says, "Oh God, I thought you were a mysterious person." Nope, I'm here live in person. You know, because like I honestly would not be any more surprised if they release I don't know, like a coil bike or another RAM cycle, and they say, hey, you guys bought these two for 100, why can't you buy this motorcycle for 100? I mean, what if they do Zartan or any of the Dreadnoks and they do like motorcycles and they're charging like $100? And then you're telling me someone in the comments is going to say, but these are Dreadnoks vehicles. Of course they're $100. It's worth the price. Again, these are probably very terrible examples because my brain is rotting right now, but you guys get my point. But overall, in conclusion, both of these are very great vehicles, great characters. I love it. I just think that they both should not be equally priced 100, but one of them should be a little lesser, or I think 100 is fine to an extent, but both of them just should not be 100. That's basically my point. Anyways, let's read the chat real quick. Mr. Madka says you can fit 5 figures on it. Hell yeah. Yeah, Brick Card Castle. I don't know, man. It's a strange world we live in. I agree. Thank you, Brick Hard Castle. Benedict says $85 at most. Crankcase does have a ton of unnecessary accessories. I guess you could kit bash him to make Night Fox with that helmet. Yeah. I agree, for real, says Timothy. 49er says if the Haslab sucks, I'm buying the Gridiron APC, not shilling for them. Ooh, $15 for the coffee mug and no donut. Shark, I got your back. Thank you, 49er, man. I appreciate it. Ionic Blood says, not gonna lie, I would pay $125 for a Thunder Machine. Even if the Thunder Machine came with Thrasher, $125 still would be, I guess, pretty decent, maybe, if Thrasher looks really cool. I got the RAM cycle for less than $30 via Walmart, says Vil. More patches, says Robert Wantlin. Please don't let them mess up the Thunder Machine. Hopefully not. I mean, I think that if you watch the Cold Slither music video, there's a drawing of the Thunder Machine. You should check that out, because that would be that could be a possible tease of what it could look like. Benedict says, what do you think is the worst vehicle in Classified? The coil bike was pretty bad. The worst vehicle. The worst vehicle. Tough question, actually. I'll get back to you on that one, Benedict. Should have been the same green to be consistent. That's pretty valid. Let's see here. Third seat on top is bugging me, says Benedict. Robert says $100 for 4 Dreadnought motorcycles. I'm down for it. The Claw is $50, comes with the figure and accessories, and is a foot long, not seeing $100 for Vamp or Striker. Patches, says Tagworm. Christopher Vo says there's a Thunder Machine music video too. Yep. Coil for sure looks like a Fisher Price bike. Yeah. I mean, I'll cut them slack on the Coil bike just because they were trying to be extremely innovative and bring like a brand new approach to G.I. Joe. So I kind of whatever the first few or first 3 waves are in Classified, I'm gonna kind of ignore whatever they came out with on that because they were testing out the waters. All right, so those are my thoughts on these two anyway. But overall, the crankcase with Awe Striker, I guess people bought it. Some have their own mixed opinions for it. Oh, Benny 275, welcome to the chat. Says I'll pay $100 for 4 bikes for those Dreadnoughts. I'm sure they'll do it at some point, maybe. I have every vehicle but Tiger Paw and kind of like them all, but the Coil looks most out of place. 49er says I will be at all the panels for Dallas Fort Worth. Any questions you want me to ask? I don't know about questions, but just say I said hello. I don't know who's even going to be there, but say Shark says hello. Fisher Price sometimes puts out a lot of detail into their stuff. A few people have turned a Fisher Price house into a Wayne Mansion and X Mansion. Oh, damn. To do an X Mansion, though, that's going to be tough. Fang, damn it. Couchboy says, why no Snow figure pre-orders if Snowcat is a Haslab? Usually with Haslab's figures seem to go with it. Everything is Dreadnoughts. I think that's another, I don't want to say it's an issue, but it's going to be July. It's going to be hot as ass. It's going to be like 110 degrees, and then you're promoting like a snow Haslab if it is. And then you're going to have snow characters, which we've talked about it in the previous live stream. And the fact that they don't really have a lot of the Arctic characters or groups established, that's going to make it pretty difficult, because if they had already released, like maybe say like 4 other snow characters before this Haslab, then I would have been like, okay, we already have like 4 characters, now we're getting like 3 more with the Haslab. That's freaking awesome. However, with only Snow Job, and then you have probably 3 new characters to add into the Haslab, it doesn't justify it enough, because I personally, at least here in the East Coast, I don't get much snow anyways. We get maybe like 1 day of a snowstorm. Other than that, it's like flurries, and then snow is done, and then we're back to being summer. Otherwise, it's just like really cold. So unless you live in an area where it snows like drastically, that Haslab will do you really well for photography. But I know for me, you're gonna see like a Haslab Snowcat with green grass around it. That's for sure. Timothy says, let's get a retro Zartan. They already did a retro Zartan. It has the blue chest piece. Robert says, did anyone else notice they didn't make any figures to go with the Dragonfly like they did with the Hiss? Yeah, okay, so before I go to the next figure, yeah, I honestly thought that it would have been really cool if they created, just like how they had the 788 fire team with the Hiss tank. They did not create any new groups of like a 3-pack or a 2-pack to go with the Dragonfly, and that would have been pretty great. But I mean, unless you want to count like NIGHTFORCE characters, which can kind of maybe work, but I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, there's Wolf Spider that could be essential to it, but not necessarily, unless you already count. Because if they gave us NIGHTFORCE, Ripcord, and Crazy Legs with the Dragonfly, I think they're kind of hinting you can utilize the NIGHTFORCE characters with the Dragonfly, so they probably didn't want to give us like brand new figures. But I 100% agree. I would have preferred them to create like some additional characters. Mawcom asks, I've been trying to cancel a few orders and the app doesn't let me. If anybody wants to help him out, let him know. But alright, let's move on to the talk of the town. So this guy right here. What do you guys... Oh, and by the way, please be very civil about this. Don't try to be like overly intense or political. This is a toy channel. But the fascinating thing about this figure is that I'm trying to think of a logical reasoning as to why this figure did not go up for pre-order other than the obvious of what's happening in California. Now, I forgot who said it earlier in the chat, but they mentioned that this figure was probably, unboxed in the actual live stream. And because it was pre-recorded, they probably just didn't have time to edit that segment out. So instead they had to just cancel the whole thing in general. And then if it were to be the reasons of what's happening out there on the West Coast, then this could easily be a very controversial figure, just for obvious reasons. And maybe the team at Hasbro or the higher ups were just like, this is not the best time to release this figure, because and again, I'm not trying to get any political about this by any means, but I'm trying to say, if your views are against what's happening in California, and if the team at Hasbro were to promote it and be more optimistic about it and kind of idolize it, then that's also making collectors who are against the situation would be like, oh, you guys are, etc., etc. So I think, I'm just guessing that was a very alarming situation for them, and they had to pull the plug and say, we should not let this figure go out for pre-order, because otherwise it's literally a police officer character. It's literally a Legacy series character. It has nothing to really do with Classified, and to be quite honest, like, it doesn't have any other reason to be taken off the pre-order market. Like, I don't see any other reason of why they should take it off. Like, it's not like it's a Night Viper or a Sci-Fi or something, like, it's supposed to be just like a standard regular, like, not an anniversary style figure, but like a modern day hero type character. So I just feel like whatever the situation is, like, I can't for the life of me figure out like what their reason is, but I guess it is what it is. Jimmy So, it's good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a very long time. How's it going, brother? It's good to see you. Hope everything is doing well. So glad you're able to join the stream tonight. And also shout out to everybody that's watching tonight's stream. Shout out to everyone who gave me the 75 likes. We've already surpassed the 50 likes on the stream. So, and also shout out to Tagworm for the $5 channel donations. Thank you so much, brother, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, shout out to everybody that's currently watching the stream, whether you're in the chat or just watching for the hell of it. Thank you guys. Super Grimlock, welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. Says they're missing the standard issue cop mustache. Oh, that would have been nice. Let's see. Joshua says Marines are more controversial. Hasbro is woke, says 49er. Joe Bitt says Hasbro is far left. Take the vest off and you have another Cobra Trooper. Oh yeah. Wait, are they utilizing the same? Looks a little different. Couch Boy says he will have a blue hood added. That's funny. President Taco says Wilfredo. That's funny. Hasbro is scared. Because you guys have to also remember, Hasbro also changed the bio for Spirit because of the, I think, not disrespect, but of the misleading information of the tribe or the background that Spirit has, and plus changing the term tracker, or getting rid of the word tracker away from him, and changing a few stories here and there for the new era of G.I. Joe. So if that's not already an indication, then it's a little tricky. Do you think Hasbro would ever do a head pack or weapons pack? Honestly, I think sometime, Steve, they probably will, but Valaverse already has like a head pack, so I think they're gonna wait it out at some point. Oh, shout out to Jimmy So for the $15 Hong Kong money. I have no idea what the conversion rate for that, but this is the first time in my channel history where I've gotten money from Hong Kong. Holy crap, that's so cool. Thank you so much, Jimmy So. I will give you the shark heart. That is very, very kind and generous of you. Thank you so much, man. I freaking love you for that. Thank you. And it's just so cool seeing the letters HK next to it. That's so badass. But thank you so much, man. That's very, very, very kind of you. Shout out to Jimmy So. Thank you for putting that Hong Kong smile on my face. Hold on. I think this, well, based on the 49er says it would have sold out. So based on the consensus of what a lot of you are saying, it looks like it's a very popular character, or not character, but like a very popular figure, because I would not have even guessed once that people would be kind of disappointed that this figure did not go up for pre-order. The fact that it didn't go up for pre-order and people were like, where the hell is it, just showed me that there's a demand for this. And the cool part is, if you're very into like storytelling, this would be a very awesome figure to put with your Shockwave classified figure. Because if you remember on the Shockwave bio or file card, it says that Shockwave, obviously part of the SWAT team, but Shockwave is the first character to go into a building until he lets everyone else come in afterwards. So Shockwave gets the first-hand look of how deadly the situation is on the inside. So if all these police officers on the outside, they can definitely give Shockwave a good backup to it, which would be nice. No SWAT legacy figure? Possibly, who knows? All good, Steve. Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate you joining and spending the time. And thank you for joining in the chat, Steve. Hopefully I will see you then. Steve says he enjoys mine the most. Thank you, man. I really do appreciate that. Shout out to Steve for the very nice compliment. I only got one of the 60th, but I kind of want to get others now. It's the best looking legacy figure, says Benedict. I could see that. I mean, the vest, the handcuffs, the let's see, you got the brutality type helmet, the traditional officer hat and glasses, the stick, yeah, I mean, and the coffee. So coffee, no donuts, but coffee, still good. Yeah, I mean, he looks really cool. Like, it looks like you can clip a lot of great accessories onto this figure. Like, just the loadout and the attachments looks really great. The cloth goods don't look great. Well, even if it doesn't look great, at least we can kind of appreciate that they are giving us cloth. Because if this was a giant ass rubber piece, that just would have been really bad. And we've seen how they are with their rubber. Also, I think we've hit a new channel high for today on tonight's stream, because the highest views we've had during tonight's stream was about 92 views. Freaking, that's awesome. I'm very grateful to even have more than 3. So thank you guys for making me go all the way up to at least 92 viewers on tonight's stream. Even if those that are coming in and out, thank you for even weighing in your options on tonight's topics. I really do appreciate that. Now, the only way that the G.I. Joe team can get this figure out of the way is I can see them really just pulling off a random pre-order. I think they'll just be like, the police officer is going up for pre-order later, etc., and then that's it. Christopher Vo says, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. Some of the images I've seen shows the shield all clear, so what's with the effects on this one? Maybe it's just it's probably just to show the scratches. If it was a clear, it probably would have just been a black police, the logo. So I think the white is just to show us the damage or the scratches on it, possibly. Cloth goods don't look. Oh, I just read that. I just read that. Super Grimlock says, I don't think I would have pulled the pre-order for this one, but I can see why they did it. I'm sure later we would get some kind of media package. Yep. Kind of want to set him up with the VAMP. This figure would be great with what? With, yeah, somebody said this, Law and Order, and I personally think Shockwave. Yeah, because Law and Order also comes with the handcuffs. And he comes with his pet. So Spot Jones, welcome to the chat. He says, how many classified pieces do you have, Shark? If I were to count off the top of my head, I have about 85 figures. Yeah. So I did a little reorganizing, because originally I had my classified figures behind me. But due to changing a few figures around, I put all the ninjas down here, which I do love, and then my classified figures are actually on a shelf right above the computer. So all of them are all like, it's like a high, I don't know what you want to call it, like a high shelf that's more attached to the ceiling. So I placed them all up there because they were just taking up way too much space. But I think last time I did a count and it was about 85 figures. And half of those 85 is because of the 10 Cobra troopers or 10 Cobra officers that I got at Walmart for $10 by accident. It was a mispriced on their end, so I was very happy about that. If you want to see my classified collection, you can check it out in the Retro Shark channel. I have a video of it. You can see all of them displayed on the shelf. A Romo, welcome to the chat, says, is the stream done? Not yet, but almost. Ralph Vader guy says, welcome to the chat. Oh, he doesn't say that. I say that. All good, Spot Jones. But thank you so much for joining, Ralph Vader. Timothy says it would look great with Shockwave and Incredible Trooper. Awesome. Sell out. Holy shit, what's happening right now? Hold on. Kuba's Enigma with the $5. Also, it tells me right here, this is Kubaz's 3rd time donating to the channel. Thank you so much. This is your 3rd super chat. So I'm going to give you... How do I like this? Oh, it doesn't give me the option to heart it because it has like an actual emoji thing on the side. Thank you so much, Kubaz Enigma, for the $5, man. That is very, very, very generous of you. Here is a cherry Coke. Cheers to you. Very, very kind of you. And holy shit, hold on. We have 49er Brian with $20 saying, I appreciate you so much, but you already know this. Smokes and Road Beers Fund. Oh shit. Unfortunately, I do not smoke and I do not drink anything alcoholic wise. But I do have my soda with me. So I will cheers to you and cherry Coke. So thank you so much, Kubaz, 49er, who was a Tagworm, and Jimmy So for your channel donations for tonight's stream. You guys are freaking awesome. 49er, I'll give you the shark heart. For some reason, it won't let me put a heart on Kubaz's donation because there's a peach or a pear that's like emoji kind of thing. So I think it's celebrating or something. So that's really cool. Thank you guys so much, man. I really do appreciate that. Kubaz says you're my go-to news source. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Need that Cobra Shock Trooper. It's called Pop, not Soda. Okay, Pop. We'll call it Soda Pop. That's funny. All right. So now that we've it's a sticker and not a super chat. Got it. Okay. So as you guys know, whenever we get near the end of the stream, we do the everything we know so far segment. So because yeah, it's a tall can of soda or pop because you get it from the Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is the only place that you can get these giant ass Coke cans. For $1.25, you cannot go wrong. Especially when you have smaller cans that cost like $3. Makes no sense. Aside from the Haslab teas, which we'll talk about near the end of the YOJOEJUNE because they're going to announce it and reveal it then. Usually at the end of every stream, I talk about everything that we know so far in G.I. Joe Classified. But also shout out to William and Tenley. I think this is your first time here on the chat. It says, looks like the Haslab is going to be a winter vehicle. It seems very much so because the Haslab graphics had snow falling on the background, so it could very much be it. So because week 2 of YOJOEJUNE was very disappointing, and there was a lot of shit going down. Basically what we have next, and as you guys know, I love doing my graphics here at the end. Here is basically all the figures aside from the name onlys. These are the only digital renders, and aside from the NIGHTFORCE 2-pack that we've talked about before, but we've basically eliminated roughly about like 9 or 10, maybe 12 figures in the past few months. Maybe like, hold on, maybe like probably like almost up to 15 to 20 figures in the past like 4 or 5 months. So like the last remaining figures we have at the moment are the Cold Slither 4-pack, and then we have the Haslab Rattler figures. Now pay attention to this because hopefully by week 3 we should have some brand new renders because the G.I. Joe team owes us some brand new renders. So we will have an updated visual graphic for this segment here on the stream. And the Haslab Rattler is shipping late June. Therefore, we should eliminate the Haslab Rattler figures off this list as well. And then Cold Slither will be eliminated from this list in July. So we will keep these here for a little bit longer. But in in about the next month and a half, we should eliminate all 7 of these figures in due time, and then we'll have brand new digital renders and figures to kind of add into this brand new list, which going back to the what is it, the listings, we have like Night Viper and Sci-Fi and all that stuff, so hopefully we should have some really cool figures to add, and possibly some new figures that we have no idea or exist right now that they're going to surprise us with, which will be absolutely fun and exciting. Canadians call it pop. Cans are better than plastic bottles. Ooh. St. Louis, it's soda. Timothy says, what do you think the price would be on the Snowcat? So that's a very, very interesting question, because let's have some fun real quick. And I need you guys to help me because I kind of forgot. The Haslab Dragonfly was $230 something without tax and all that stuff. The Haslab Hiss Tank was $300 or something like that. And then the Rattler was, I think, what was it? The Rattler was 3 or 2 something. I don't remember. So where it's going to get a bit complicated is based on a lot of people's views on the Snowcat, who own the actual Snowcat, the original O-ring version, like the old Hasbro one from the 80s. The Snowcat is technically a smaller vehicle, so in order for them to create a Snowcat, they would have to beef it up a bit. Now, when it comes to pricing, you have to keep in mind that there are tariff prices too, which is going to be a little bit alarming. So I have a feeling that whatever the price we're going to get, it might not be high at all. Maybe it still might be a smaller scaled vehicle, because then that would be very weird. But if it's a big vehicle in the size of, like, it can fit like a bunch of like figures in there or whatever. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Because Scott Mora, welcome to the chat, says, quick reminder for everyone, tomorrow, June 13th, is the last day to change your address on the Pulse website before Rattler ships. Yes. Please make sure you click your, or check your Haslab Rattler information. You don't want to have them ship it to the wrong address. So as I was saying, for price wise, I feel like whatever the price may be for, let's just say it's the Snowcat, whatever the price may be, I have a feeling that they purposely increased the price, and originally it should have been a little bit lesser than that. So, and that's because I'm including tariff prices in there, because, and a good example would be, and I don't know if this works for action figures or toys, but for those that are video gamers, you know, we've seen the price increase for PS5 and Xbox and all that other stuff. So, for example, if you know, you wanted to buy a PS5 for, like, I'm just giving a random example, for like $400 or $500, they're charging you an additional $100 because of the tariff prices. So technically, gamers have to pay like $600 instead of $500. So whatever the Snowcat is going to be, we can expect it to be an increased price, and maybe it's going to be unfair, maybe not. I cannot predict that, but I really hope that it's going to be something worth collectors' money. I'm down for a Snowcat, but the tiers might make or break for me. Yeah, so we've talked about this in the last live stream, and we talked about it during my SHARKNEWZ video about having the tiers. The thing about the Haslab tiers is, again, someone someone wasn't a fan of my guess of having of saying that Iceberg is not a popular character. However, again, I don't think a lot of you would, because again, not everyone is going to back the Haslab, and there's going to be collectors that are going to buy the Haslab in the aftermarket and not really fund it. You know, those last minute people. So people have an attachment to figures like Iceberg, but if Iceberg is behind a paywall of a Haslab where people can't necessarily cough up like over $300, it's not necessarily their fault, and it's not like they don't have the money for it, but it's just situations may arise to the point where it's like, shit, the only way I can get a freaking Iceberg is behind a Haslab, which is why, depending on what their tiers are, that might make or break some people. But I don't think they're gonna really throw a bunch of like hard hitters, because again, the Haslab is supposed to be an exclusive deal for collectors in the sense that you're supposed to get one hard hitter character, or like one completely rare figure like Glenda, like the Cobra Commander with the Mickey Mouse logo, and Glenda, or like even the Tactician figure. So it has to be like completely rare enough. So that's why figures like Quinn would be great, and maybe some other ice, like snow characters, but characters like Frostbite would be initial offering, but characters like Iceberg probably should not be part of the tier, because that would just, I think that would rub people the wrong way. Okay, let's read the chat real quick. 49er says, hit those likes for Sharky. Thank you so much, 49er, with the shark emoji. Scott Mora says his tank was 300, Dragonfly was 275, and Rattler was 325. Okay, so I'm guessing that the next Haslab is not going to be anywhere near those prices. So I'm going to guess, it's not real, obviously. I'm going to guess that the next Haslab is going to be more than 325. I'm assuming anywhere from 350. I think 400 would be way too much, but I think 350 or I don't know, somewhere in the 350 360 range. I think that might work, but if they do anything less, then that's great. If not, then that's my welcome no PC to the chat. Says Hasbro should be ashamed of themselves for allowing political correctness to interfere with honoring police officers with their legacy figures. True. Joel Nelson, welcome to the chat, says my guess is extended Snowcat with 4 road wheels in the track instead of the original 2, a higher roof line in the back, and a rooftop compartment. I mean, I hope you're designing it, because that would be sick. Christopher Vose says, sadly, people in countries are not affected. Gotta like price gouging. That's true. Joshua says, most toy companies just saying subject to tariff fees. Yeah, that just means that they haven't added the prices onto it yet, but they probably will at some point. Russell Terrell says they're already making Ghostbusters Proton Pack based off the Haslab for retail, so expect a scaled down version of the Hiss in the future. Yes, we will talk about that in the future, because when I saw that, I was like, holy shit. No more patches. There are millions of great honorable police officers as their honor. Very true, says no PC. I'm still trying to figure out why Canadians buying Japanese products. Joel Nelson says 4 figures, driver, frostbite, weapons, operator, cold front, troop, compartment, wind chill would be really sick. Whiteout, snowstorm, sub-zero. Very true. Yeah, because Whiteout is the same mold as Snow Job, so unless they really recreate Whiteout into a new character, Snowstorm and Sub-Zero would be nice. So I about 98% agree with Joel Nelson's comment about the tiers, except I would add Quinn in there somewhere. 3-pack Arctic Joes, 350. I know that does sound high. I'm just I don't know. I'm just including like tariff prices. Forgive me. 3-pack Arctic Joes to go with the Snowcat, similar to the 780 team. That would be really, really sick. Joes in the jackets, the brown jackets. 350 for a Snowcat, no way. Was hoping for a regular release of Snowcat. Oh, welcome Maki Tot to the chat. Says, I think this is your first time here. Haslabs are close to double the price here in the Philippines. Oh, shout out to Maki Tot, who's in the Philippines right now. Awesome. Really cool. We got a subscriber from the Philippines. So sick. They'll probably throw in a retro snow job in the tiers. That would be cool and suck at the same time. Because as much as I think that this retro, or not the retro, the flight suit Baroness is a cool figure, I don't think she should have been here. It could have easily been another better character. Rocky Bradley, welcome to the chat. I think this is your first time here. It says, really hoping that I can get a Quinn without worrying about buying a Haslab. The comics is my continuity. I mean, more power to those who have read the comics, man. Like, you guys know your G.I. Joes if you read the comics. Alright, so with that being said, take a good look at what we have here, because again, I will be eliminating these 3 figures, the 3 Rattler figures, probably by the end of June, so we won't see these again because they're going to be shipping out in late June. Tomorrow is the last day to update your information. Cold Slither is coming out in July. And going back to the beginning of the stream where we talked about the reveals and other good stuff, keep in mind we still have the NIGHTFORCE BEACHHEAD and QUICKKICK 2-pack, which was released at Toy Fair. We have Desert Scorpion, which was a name-only reveal. We have the Steel Core SENTRY, which we'll talk about once they reveal more photos. As for leaks, there was a prototype of NIGHTFORCE BEACHHEAD's vest, which I guess I shouldn't really care about at this point. Then we still have the upcoming listings of Taurus, Reddog, Wetsuit Flash, Night Viper, and Sci-Fi. So, week 2 of YOJOEJUNE was pretty disastrous. We can all agree on that one. So I'm really hoping that any one of these upcoming listings we should see digital renders or probably official product reveals, because they have to make it up to us for the lack of no or even if they don't do it during the actual live stream, just like how they randomly revealed Budo. I think probably anytime, maybe tomorrow, they could reveal like a Night Viper digital render just to say sorry guys, because that would be a nice little homage to collectors who are pissed. Joe Bits says Hollywood rides micro vehicles. Snowcat. Couchboy says we met a shirtless QUICKKICK barefoot commercial. So you want a QUICKKICK in boots? Kuba says I like the Snowcat just fine, but prefer the Mobat or Mauler. It could be. What if they switch it up? Maybe they're just throwing the snow stuff to screw us all over. Matthew Lang, welcome, says this is your first time here in the chat, says just joining. I'm very sorry, Matthew, because I'm about to end the stream in a few minutes. Are we super confident that it is a Snowcat? It seems like it will be too big. I'm hoping for a Thunder Machine. So what am I calling it? So I'm not confident it is a Snowcat, but that's where all the heads are turning to be a Snowcat, because you look at other vehicles. There's also the Avalanche that comes with Cold Front, I think, and then no, not Avalanche. Yeah, was it Avalanche? I don't remember. One of the characters that came with the other snow vehicle, and then shit, I'm forgetting the other ones. But just because the graphic had snow on it, that's what everyone is expecting it to be, the Snowcat, just because it comes with Frostbite as a main figure. Bat and Joe fan says Gridiron Phalanx is $400. Amazing looking. I did see the photos from you guys said like last week, so it does look pretty good. Snake Eyes was such a dope figure, says Couch. Yep. Nathan Paul says tariffs are fairly recent event. If it was already in development for retail, they did a... I mean, they could have had original price, but because of what's happening, maybe they could still change it. Thank you so much, Russell, man. I appreciate it. Hope to see you next week. Mauler Mobat all the way. Abramo says last 4 YoJoEJUNE has sucked. Last week was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine. Timothy says, do you think sci-fi will look like modern day RoboCop? I'm very nervous. I don't know how, but I'm very nervous that sci-fi is gonna... I just hope he looks really good. Sci-fi and Night Viper are my 2 most anticipated ones right now. Unless they reveal Mainframe, then shit, I'm so scared. Alright, other than that, I think we will conclude for tonight's stream. I want to thank everybody for donating to the channel for tonight. Thank you guys so much. For those that are in the chat, thank you guys for making it so special and spending your Thursday nights with me. For those that were watching and not in the chat, you guys are just as equally as important. And yes, this whole chat is dedicated to Lara, so thank you guys so much. Or sorry, Lara, we all love you. Hope you and your family are doing better and healing better. Matthew says, what days do I have these live streams? It really varies. I don't have a set date. You just kind of have to look for the thumbnail to kind of pop up, but I'm trying to keep it consistent just because it's YoJoEJUNE. There's a lot of people streaming to talk about these figures, but I try to find a day where it's convenient for everyone. But hopefully you're able to make it for the next one. But it was very nice to have you, Matthew Lang. I appreciate you joining. Other than that, stay tuned. Next week we will come back live and talk about whatever the hell YoJoEJUNE week 3 is, and we'll talk about more of pre-orders and reveals, and of course more SHARKNEWZ videos on the way. So thank you guys all so much. I have no idea, Couchboy. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Please hug your loved ones and stay positive. Enjoy collecting. Have a great weekend, and I hope to see you guys next week in the next live stream. Thank you, Jimmy So. Appreciate it, man. All good, Matthew Lang. I hope to see you guys next week. Take care. Have a great weekend, and I will see you all in the next stream. So, yeah, Shark.